Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities. Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple. And if I'm eating something and I'm not sure the ingredients in that particular thing, then I choose to leave it out. So I keep my snacking simple with fruit, nuts, or just water. It's easy to remember, there's no added ingredients, and it's also very nutritious. So remember, childhood obesity is real, so choose healthier alternatives. And when in doubt, leave it out.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that you both know they will enjoy.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love Crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get her? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the four ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us join together as parents and care providers to reduce the further development of this chronic non-communicable disease within our communities.
Kids Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout, or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aagrant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker.
Good morning, I'm Wendy Burke, and this is the CBC Morning Report for Tuesday, December 19th, brought to you this morning by Jordan's Supermarket. The Financial Literacy Bureau has big plans for 2024. Among them, stepped-up activities. David Simpson, consultant to the Ministry of Energy and Business's Financial Literacy Bureau, says they're making strides in helping people manage their money.
To ensure that we're consistent in our messaging and our activities. So during 2024, you will see us going with renewed vigor into the schools, into the community, and still continuing our online webinars, presentations to groups, organizations, businesses. You will see that renewed vigor. It will take time, Ryan, because it's a culture that we are changing. Barbadians are not necessarily accustomed to some entity or individual saying to them, budget, save, invest, don't do this, control your money. And I know it's a difficult time for many people, even as we came out of COVID, and there's still challenges for some earnings. Some people have not had increases. The cost of living is going up, and as often it moves at a faster rate, the cost of living in terms of increases compared to your salary. So we just want to sensitize Barbadians so they can make better financial decisions, better decisions in terms of their money and managing that aspect of their households. So we are in it for the long haul, but definitely during 2024, you will see some renewed vigor and intensity and consistency in terms of the activities and our messaging.
He added that the biggest financial literacy problem which he has observed is that of money management.
Is being able to manage their money in light of rising cost of living, and as we've been saying coming out of COVID, being able to prepare for the next shock. We know the next shock will come. We don't know when, we don't know what it will be, but we need to be prepared, and that's why we're also pushing the message of saving and investing. And saving and investing is not for those with extremely high means of income and so on. Any of us can save. I may be able to afford to save $10 a week. You may be able to afford to save $500 a week. It doesn't matter. It's the discipline and the habit that we're trying to ingrain in Barbadians. So we are making progress, but like I said, we'll continue to do this through 2024 and beyond.
Mr. Simpson says where investment is concerned, people are still lagging behind and are hesitant.
Honestly, we still have a lot of work to do, but we have several partners in the space. Central Bank of Barbados, for example, with their boss bonds. We have other investment entities, the Fortresses, the Sagicors, Royal Fidelities, several people in that space who are doing their own financial education as well and also promoting their products. And I think together the aim of the National Financial Literacy Program is to work with all of the partners, and that is part of my responsibility in helping them to coordinate the program with the other consultants. But we want to bring on those partners. It is difficult for one entity to reach 300,000 people. So we need to spread that work. We need to work with others who have programs in place to interact with the community and the population on a daily basis, like our insurance companies, the banks, and so on. And through that, I think we will make that progress. But again, it's a culture and a habit we're changing and trying to build. And that's a big part of why we want to ensure in 2024 we get into the schools, because at that young age, if we can start to mold them in terms of better money management and understanding financial transactions and everything to do with money and even the economy, well then as they grow older, we hopefully will be starting to see that level of understanding and knowledge more widespread than it currently is.
Coming up on the CBC Morning Report, a coalition formed to tackle the attack of ships on the Red Sea.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm...
U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has announced the formation of a coalition including Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, the Seychelles, Spain, and the UK to patrol the Red Sea in response to Houthi attacks.
These attacks are reckless, dangerous, and they violate international law. And so we're taking action to build an international coalition to address this threat. And I would remind you that this is not just a U.S. issue. This is an international problem, and it deserves an international response. And that's why I'm convening a meeting tomorrow, a ministerial meeting with fellow ministers in the region and beyond to address this threat.
It seems a number of countries will be dialing into this virtual meeting as he'll be in Bahrain tomorrow. Now, it's a conversation that's already taken place where the US had a few days ago said that it was planning to put together this maritime task force, an international one. The question will be how many of those that will be taking part in these exercises to ensure the safe passage of ships through the Red Sea. You have Arab countries, including Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, some of the Gulf countries that potentially may not want to take part because they don't want to be seen like they're going against where they stand in terms of with the Palestinians, especially against Israel's war on Gaza. But at the same time, a country like Egypt, where it relies heavily on revenue from the Suez Canal, will be in a very difficult situation. In terms of the ships that are going through Bab el-Mandeb, it's not just a case of not getting to Israel, which is what the Houthis have said they are focusing on, ships that are heading towards Israel, whether it's for shipments, food, products, or whether it's also those that may have been fueling there at specifically Eilat port. Now, for a lot of the ships, mostly they go from Asia through the Suez Canal via Egypt and onto Europe. Now this will add an extra 20 or so days to their journey. And of course, as well, on top of that, you have insurance premiums, which have already shot up. And this comes at a time when earlier in the year, in January, the International Maritime Organization had already reduced the risk of that area, the bottom part of the Red Sea, as well as the Indian Ocean, because of Somali pirates. There was a high risk there for the last few years. That was already already lowered. Now, the situation now with the Houthis, of course, that's going to be a major concern, not just for Israel anymore, because it's also fighting a front on the northern border as well as that in Gaza. You have obviously Yemen, but this is going to have massive global implications, and that's why this meeting is going to be very urgent, clearly.
Although the U.S. has requested Israel to relook their military strategy in Gaza, it's still supporting Israel in its war.
The military aid and support Israel's received from the United States has been massive, giving it free rein as it tries to destroy Hamas. The United States dispatched 2 aircraft carrier strike groups at the start of the conflict. The USS Ford, the world's most advanced aircraft carrier and the largest warship ever built, is currently in the Eastern Mediterranean along with its support fleet. The USS Eisenhower is on patrol in the Gulf, its massive complement of fighter jets reinforcing the air and naval assets in the region. A US Marine Expeditionary Unit is sailing off the coast of Yemen, acting as a base and mobile headquarters for an assortment of high-level special forces from the US Navy and Air Force, coordinating regional intelligence gathering. And Poseidon naval surveillance aircraft and high-tech Global Hawk spy drones have been flying off the coast of Gaza, gathering information on Hamas and its regional supporters. The US has ringed the Middle East with fleets of ships, aircraft, submarines and drones. And this is in addition to the US Air Force sending jets to Jordan and the colossal military assets already in place in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait and the UAE. American military aid has allowed Israel to continue wholesale destruction of Gaza unhindered, ensuring that Hamas's allies are suitably intimidated and deterred from taking any military action.
Time now to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados. This morning, we will be having those conversations on CARICOM with the Ambassador David Commichon. We'll be talking all about what happened in terms of the Guyana-Venezuela decision. We will also be talking some more grief. Yes, it is Christmas, but there are people who find it very difficult to get through. We will have the counselors back to discuss grief and loss. And we'll also be reminding you, parents, about the do's and don'ts over this Christmas season to ensure that your children are able to combat the flu should it come. It's Christmas, the holiday, and children do tend to get sick. So we'll be dealing with that, as well as bringing some Christmas cheer with some videos and some new music that's out for the season. All that and more coming up on Morning Barbados. After the break.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
A video making rounds on social media, allegedly of a 4-year-old working on a public service vehicle as a conductor, has resulted in Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, who is also Minister of Transport, Works and Water Resources, calling for a full investigation into the matter. It also prompted strong condemnation from Alliance Owners of Public Transport, Director of Public Communications and Public Affairs, Mark Haynes. He called it troubling and concerning.
Our primary concern lies with the welfare and safety of the child involved. Child labor in any form is a serious issue that undermines the fundamental rights and development of children. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 32 states that a child should be protected from performing any work that is likely to be hazardous, interfere with the child's education, or be harmful to the child's health and physical, mental, spiritual, moral, or social development. The situation described involving a child working in a potentially hazardous environment contradicts this principle.
And that was Barbados Workers Union General Secretary Tony Moore, who also weighed in on the issue, and she says she's awaiting the official report, but she believes child labor is a very serious issue. Barbados should find it easier to access some medications with the launch of a new vaccine lab in Africa. BioNTech, the German firm behind one of the first COVID vaccines, has unveiled the first mRNA vaccine manufacturing laboratory in Rwanda. The lab will be seeking to produce 50 million vaccine doses a year once completed for not only COVID-19, but potentially tuberculosis and malaria. Speaking during the inauguration of the new facility, Prime Minister Mia Motley hailed the initiative.
Today marks a concrete step for the people of Africa and its children and its diaspora to be able to turn the corner, not just in the fight against pandemics, which we have all learned is absolutely critical, but equally, simply, in our desire to ensure that our people can have access to the best possible therapeutics and biologics that are available on this planet.
Prime Minister Motley also reiterated plans for Barbados and Guyana to begin pharmaceutical manufacturing in the Caribbean. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame says Prime Minister Motley's presence signals that concern for health equity extends beyond Africa.
Rwanda and Barbados have been advising and supporting each other closely on pharma manufacturing. We would like to see much deeper cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean, especially with respect to pooled procurement to make our industries sustainable.
The European Union's Global Gateway Initiative has raised billions of euros to invest in the project. President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has expressed a willingness to help fund a similar project in Barbados.
To date, we have together already mobilized 1.2 billion euros as Team Europe. And it is amazing to think that in just 2 years, these biocontainers will be producing up to 50 million doses of vaccines per year. What's happening here in Rwanda can also happen in Barbados. And with the South-South cooperation, we're very keen to support this potential vaccine project in Barbados.
There was caroling in St. Philip over the weekend when the 7 primary schools of that parish brought Christmas cheer to shoppers. It was an initiative of the Lions Club of Barbados East. CBC's Trevor Thorpe reports.
This is the 4th annual Christmas caroling event put on by the Lions Club of Barbados East, and the venue was the Emerald City Supermarket's foyer. Club Secretary Sherwin Greenidge says the caroling captures the spirit of the season and people of St. Philip. He says it is more than just caroling at Christmas, it's also part of the Lions Club's outreach program.
We are excited at the Lions Club that we again can bring Christmas cheer to the people of St. Philip, also by inviting the students, these young students. And this year we have 3 students from St. Barnabas Mangrove from their reception class who are participating. The Lions Club of Barbados East also this Christmas will be having its Christmas party at the our den, which is located at the Races Pavilion. On the 18th, that is Monday, from 2:30 to 5:30, where we expect to entertain over 100 children from the community.
He says the club is grateful for the assistance they have been receiving for their outreach programs from corporate St. Philip and the wider Barbadian society.
We are very active in the community of St. Philip. We are also doing the feeding program at the St. Philip Primary School, where we provide breakfast to about 21 every morning. So I want to thank especially the persons from St. Philip and wider Barbados who contribute to the work of the Lions Club, and in particular Lions Club of Barbados East, as we continue to serve today for a better tomorrow.
Choir director Anthea Maxwell talks about the composition of the choir.
We have approximately 45 children, and they come from all of the primary schools in St. Philip. We have St. Philip Primary, St. Mark's Primary, St. Catherine's Primary, Bailey's Primary, Hildeskeen Primary, Reynold Weeks Primary, St. Martin's Mangrove. So all of the 7 primary schools in St. Philip are well represented here at Emerald City this morning.
Lions Club East and the primary schools officials say they are looking forward to a good Christmas 2023 and 2024. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Chile has voted to reject a new conservative constitution, leaving the text draft during the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet in force. Chile's left president Gabriel Boric, who before the vote pledged to focus on long-term development in favor of further attempts to change the constitution, says the results show that the country had become polarized and divided, and there will be no more voting.
This latest referendum came more than a year after people rejected a first draft that was seen as more progressive. It's the second time in as many years that Chile has held such a referendum. Our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman, has more now from Santiago.
For the average Chilean, it's life back to normal now. But for this country's political parties, from the far left to the far right, it's time to analyze just what they have done wrong. They're huddled right now in their respective headquarters, trying to figure out why their offers, not one but two, for a new constitution for this country to address the needs of people were rejected twice.
For me, this was a joke. In the end, we're left with the same constitution written by the 3 generals.
Left-wing President Gabriel Boric, who suffered a crushing defeat last year when the first version constitution was rejected, can at least breathe easier now that his right-wing opponents can't blame him for this second failure. But he says there will be no third chance, no back to the drawing board in the foreseeable future, and no one seems to disagree.
Our country will remain with the current constitution because after 2 different proposals, neither was able to represent and unite Chile in its beautiful diversity. The country became polarized, it became divided, and beyond this latest result, the constitutional process was unable to channel the dream of offering a Magna Carta for everyone.
So what lessons have been learned from these 2 wasted opportunities to put Chile's current dictatorship-era constitution to rest and replace it with a modern one that can really address the demands for better social rights, for better environmental protection? While they lick their wounds, that's what this country's political parties will have to respond to before an electorate that has sent them a very stern message.
Roadside vending around Guyana's capital, Georgetown, will be reduced as the mayor and city council work on a comprehensive plan to have vendors removed to a more suitable business space. We have a report from Newsroom Guyana.
Amid rising tensions fueled by Venezuela's attempts to undermine Guyana's sovereignty, Guyana's President Dr. Irfan Ali will meet his Venezuelan counterpart Nicolas Maduro in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The meeting will be held on Thursday, December 14 at 10 hours and will be hosted by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, heads of state of CARICOM, a United Nations Under-Secretary General, and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC. Since the announcement of this meeting, President Ali faced a number of criticisms for agreeing to the meeting. But on Sunday, he made it clear that the border controversy is not up for discussion with Maduro and that he agreed to the meeting in the interest of keeping the region a zone of peace after widespread consultations with leader of the opposition Aubrey Norton, lawyers, and agents representing Guyana's case at the International Court of Justice, ICJ.
In that meeting, we'll have a conversation with President Maduro. I've made it very clear that on the issue of the border controversy, Guyana's position is non-negotiable.
In sports, Weymouth Wales are the undisputed champions of local football. Playing at the Wildy Turf, Wales thrashed Watton 6-1 to successfully defend their Barbados Football Association Republic Cup title. CBC's Anmar Goodrich-Boyce reports.
A wet and rainy Wildy Turf was the venue for the Republic Cup football finals between defending champions Weymouth Wales in green and Watton. Goalless at the break, but we skip ahead to the 65th minute, where both sides had to be reduced to 10 men following red cards. But Omani Leacock plays the ball into Jabari Papi Chandler, who splits the Wales defence and breaks the deadlock. That's an excellent finish past Kismar Primus. Watton 1, Wales 0. Watton's lead didn't last for too long, as Wales replied 3 minutes later. Corner taken by Elijah Downey, and Akeem Hill rises to the occasion. Last touch off the Watton defender, but nevertheless, Watton 1, Wales 1, game on. It was still 1-1 after 90 minutes, so to extra time we go. And from the kickoff, Wales was the brighter side, and they got the reward when substitute Shaquille Stewart latched onto this cross from Zachary Appaway and taps it home. Wales lead Watton 2-1. It went downhill for Watton after they surrendered the lead. Wales moved forward on this attack, and this goal perhaps was worth the entrance fee. Nadre Butcher goes past 3 defenders before placing the ball into an empty net, putting the icing on the cake. Wales 3, Watton 1, and surely there was no way back now for the Christchurch boys. Wales, having taken a 2-goal cushion, were not taking their feet off the gas. Butcher now turns provider, finding Zachary Appaway, and he goes around the keeper. All too easy, like taking candy from a baby. Wales marching towards another title at this stage. The boys from Carrington Village weren't done just yet, and they were later awarded a penalty. Substitute Ronaldo Marquez stepped up and goes down the middle, making no mistake from the spot. Weymouth Wales 5, Watton 1. Wales had time for one more late on, as Stewart collected his second for the night. After getting on the end of this cross from Hayden Holligan and finishing from close range, as the score ended 6-1, and Wales confirmed their status as undisputed kings of local football by completing a memorable clean sweep and treble, winning the BFA's Republic Cup, Premier League, and Champions Cup. Anmar Goodrich-Boyce, CBC Sports.
Time now to find out if our weather will be a mixed bag today. The present conditions, the pressure stands at 1012.8 millibars. It is 25.1 degrees Celsius, and the humidity stands at 90%. The winds are coming from the northeast at 22 kilometers per hour, and the present weather is mostly cloudy. The seas are expected to be moderate to rough in open water, with swells ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 meters and increasing. The tides. High tide will be at 11 minutes past 9 this morning, and the second at 16 past 9 tonight. The first low tide will be at 2:32 a.m. It's mostly cloudy with breaks of sunshine with scattered light to moderate showers and periods of rain. Tonight now is expected to be clear with cloudy periods with a few scattered light showers. That's our newscast for our morning report. Our next newscast will be at 12 on TV8, followed by The World at 1 via our radio network of stations. Time now for Morning Barbados. The news was brought to you by Jordan's Supermarket.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.
And good morning to you too. How did you wake this morning? Let's hope all of you woke on the right side of the bed, as we say, whether or not it's raining. It's time to get up and spread your own dose of sunshine. This morning, we will be talking CARICOM. Yes, we'll be looking at that dispute which has been ongoing now for about 2 weeks or more between Guyana and Venezuela over the Essequibo region. They would have met in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to discuss all that needs to take place. And a man who was there and can tell us firsthand what is what now and where we're going on this matter would be Ambassador to CARICOM, David Commichon. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Wendy. Pleasure to be here.
I'm glad you're here, but I really wish you were here next to me. But I understand how the meetings are going and you have to be out and about. Now, let's talk the meeting. St. Vincent, CELAC and CARICOM both came together for these talks. What was the general sentiment from most of the heads or the foreign ministers who were there?
Well, first of all, Wendy, let us put this meeting in context. You just carried a story there about the conflict in Gaza, where the crux of the story was that the United States of America, a country that is a permanent member of the UN Security Council, is actively involved in helping to fuel the conflict in Gaza by providing arms and encouragement and so forth to Israel. And that brings home the colossal failure of the international system, because the United Nations the United Nations Security Council is supposed to take control of a conflict like what is currently raging in Gaza and bring it to an end. Colossal failure. Juxtapose that with what happened in St. Vincent last week, Thursday. Here we have a situation in our region of Latin America and the Caribbean that has its roots in European imperialisms of centuries ago, but had so festered that we were hearing harsh language, tensions rising. We were hearing about threats of militarism. And what did we do? Well, CARICOM stepped forward. CELAC, the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, led at this moment by CARICOM, by Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent, who is the current president of CELAC. And these two hemispheric bodies representing the Caribbean and Latin America came together and said, look, we are going to take control of this situation. We are going to bring the two contending parties together, and we are going to negotiate, a de-escalation of the situation and put in place a process of dialogue and of peacemaking. And that is precisely what happened on Thursday. In fact, I would say, Wendy, that we succeeded beyond our expectations going in. So it was a full day of very intense discussions and negotiations. I would say the two stars of the show, besides the two contending presidents, President Maduro and President Irfan Ali, but the two people who we really have to give tremendous credit to were Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves and Prime Minister Motley. Prime Minister Motley played a very important role in helping to keep the two sides on the same page and in helping to concretize the joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela.
Okay, so the Argyle Declaration, so named because of where it was done in St. Vincent?
Yes, the entire event took place at the Argyle International Airport, which was very convenient because all of these planes flew in. I mean, we had, bear in mind, we had several prime ministers from CARICOM, from Trinidad, Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, the Bahamas, Barbados. We also had coming into St. Vincent representatives of Brazil, of the president of Brazil, the foreign minister of Chile. We had two representatives of the United Nations Secretary General coming into St. Vincent. So it was just the airport, the Argyle International Airport was just a very convenient place to hold the meeting. Our Barbados delegation, we went in on a plane of the regional security system. And so, we went in early in the morning, spent the whole day there, and got back to Barbados probably about 10:30 or going on to 11 in the evening.
Yeah, because the discussions were indeed quite robust. We would have seen President Ali do a press conference when they took a little break just to let the media and the general population of Guyana, Venezuela, Barbados, everywhere know exactly what was going on. But then we got news from Prime Minister Gonzalez about this 11-point declaration. I want to walk through a few of the areas and exactly what was drafted there to ensure that that militarization that you spoke to before doesn't occur again.
Yes, Wendy, I have a copy of it here with me. The first, you said 11 points, but perhaps a central point is a point where the two sides simply noted their agreement to disagree. And that is, each side noted in the declaration their position, their fundamental position. So that's paragraph number 4, and this is what it says. Guyana and Venezuela declared as follows: noted Guyana's assertion that it is committed to the process and procedures of the International Court of Justice for the resolution of the border controversy. Noted Venezuela's assertion of its lack of consent and lack of recognition of the International Court of Justice and its jurisdiction in the border controversy. So let's just stick a pin there. So this is part of the impasse between the two countries. They have a border dispute. Guyana is saying that the International Court of Justice, who is now seized of the issue, that as far as Guyana is concerned, this is the modality to determine the border dispute, and they are sticking with this. And Guyana believes that whatever decision the ICJ comes to, that should be the end result. Venezuela, on the other hand, is saying, no, we do not accept this. We do not accept the jurisdiction of the ICJ in this matter. And what we, Venezuela, are saying is that the two parties need to go back to the negotiating table in keeping with the Geneva Agreement of 1966 to negotiate a solution that is acceptable to both sides. So there was no movement on this. They both stuck to their respective positions. However, around that now, we went on to deal with, okay, that's your position, you have that impasse, but how do we ensure that that impasse does not degenerate into tension and militarism and force and threats? And so the first paragraph says, Guyana and Venezuela agree that Guyana and Venezuela directly or indirectly will not threaten or use force against one another in any circumstances, including those consequential to any existing controversies between the two states. Secondly, agree that any controversies between the two states will be resolved in accordance with international law, including the Geneva Agreement dated February 17th, 1966. And this is a very important paragraph now, Wendy. Both countries agreed that both states will refrain, whether by words or deeds, from escalating any conflict or disagreement arising from any controversy between them. The two states will cooperate to avoid incidents on the ground conducive to tension between them. In the event of such an incident, the two states will immediately communicate with one another, the Caribbean Community CARICOM, the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC, and the President of Brazil to contain, reverse, and prevent its recurrence.
Okay. And
yes.
before we discuss the recurrence and some of the other elements of this Argyle Declaration, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back to discuss more about what happened in the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. It's time now to continue that conversation on CARICOM. We're looking at the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute. So, Ambassador Commishaw, in terms of the meeting and the tone that was set, we still remain in the position that nothing more as to who really owns the Essequibo until we go to the ICJ. But that decision in and of itself won't be an overnight one, will it?
So we haven't solved the impasse. The meeting in St. Vincent was not designed to solve the impasse. But there's another part of the declaration, Wendy, that is very critical. So we just heard that the declaration has gotten both countries to deal with no use of force, no threats. And if some unfortunate incident happens, a soldier fires off their gun across the border or something, maybe even accidentally, that will not spiral into some kind of crisis. There's a mechanism now for that, for dealing with that. But the other part of the declaration says, Wendy, that the two countries have agreed to establish a joint commission comprised of their foreign ministers and the technical advisors and experts of both sides. That joint commission will meet, will have discussions, and will report back to both presidents in 3 months' time. The two countries have also agreed to a follow-up meeting in Brazil in 3 months' time, or if they choose to amend the date, but a follow-up meeting that will take place in Brazil, where they will continue to discuss the situation. And that is also agreed that Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez, in his role as CELAC, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who is the current chair of CARICOM, and the President of Brazil will continue to be the interlocutors and to play that good offices role. So yes, even though the impasse has not been resolved, a new process of dialogue and discussion has been established, and we will have to hope that through that new process, bringing them together, where they now sit and talk about the situation, that out of that there can be a meeting of the minds. Who knows? Maybe Guyana will persuade Venezuela to look. Yes, let's agree on the ICJ being the definitive modality for determining this matter. Or maybe Venezuela will persuade Guyana that no, the ICJ is not the best way to go. Let us look at another modality, or let us see if we could mutually, discuss and work this thing out among ourselves. So we don't know, but the point is we now have a process for dialogue and discussion where, a few days ago, we were trading heated threats and insults, and the tension was rising. So that is the importance of what we achieved last week.
Yes, and tensions are the last thing that we want to rise, because there are a number of people who might also be asking, well, why is Barbados so invested in this? Why is the rest of the Caribbean so invested in this? But these are our neighbors, and any impact, given how the two countries trade and the commodities they trade in, any adverse fallout from this situation will impact us all.
Well, the truth is we must all be invested in peace. I mean, we see what is going on in the world. Gaza is on our television screens every day. We see when the world is not invested in peace, when the institutions that have been given the responsibility to make peace and to preserve peace do not function, like the UN Security Council. Those 5 member states, those 5 permanent member states, the US, UK, France, China, Russia, were invested with great power and therefore great responsibility, that when a breach of the international peace occurs, they are supposed to come together with the other members of the Security Council and take control of the situation and make peace. They have not done so. And what has been the result, Wendy? Over 20,000 civilians dead in Gaza, destruction, children, thousands and children dead or orphaned. That is what happens when you don't invest in peace. And I want to go back to my opening statement. This what happened last week is a wonderful example of the maturity of our Caribbean community, of the institutions that we have established, including CELAC, the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States. We did the right thing. We didn't wait. We didn't wait for no United Nations or no UN Security Council or any other international body. We came together and said, look, our region must be a zone of peace. Guyanese and Venezuelans, these are regional brothers and sisters. Barbados has a very, very close relationship with Guyana. I would say, in terms of our bilateral diplomacy within the region, Guyana is our strongest partner. And, even at a people-to-people level, there's so many Barbadians and Guyanese who share common ancestral links. By the same token, as Prime Minister Motley said a few weeks ago, Venezuela has been a very good friend to the Caribbean community, to the Caribbean community with their Petro-Carib Energy Cooperation Agreement, with their Bolivarian Alliance for the Americas. And so we have a vested interest in ensuring that whatever dispute these two countries have, and we are very conscious, Wendy, that this is a dispute that has its roots in the colonial era.
That it does. It stems back so very far. And, people might have been saying to themselves, well, I thought this was settled long ago. But then, up comes whatever. We know what most people are saying the catalyst for it is. And while Guyana's oil discoveries are that of Guyana, I guess there's more exploration to be done. But at the end of the day, regardless of what that catalyst is, we want to know that our neighbors are not fighting, because we don't want to be drawn into any fight. What we want to do is live together, trade together, and flourish together at the end of it all.
Yes, yes, and we must remain a zone of peace. That is critical to our foreign policy in CARICOM. That's a central plank of CARICOM's foreign policy, and this is not the first time that CARICOM has stepped forward to try to make peace. I recall back in January of 2019 when Juan Guaido in Venezuela suddenly declared himself president of Venezuela, and the United States quickly ratified that decision, and it seemed as if we were heading to some kind of military intervention in Venezuela. CARICOM got together our leaders in an emergency meeting very quickly. We said, no, this must not happen. We must remain a zone of peace. And we immediately sent 4 of our leaders, Prime Minister Motley, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts Nevis, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Secretary General of CARICOM immediately went to the United Nations to meet with the Secretary General, and we were able to play a very important role in bringing down that situation, ensuring there was no militarism. So this again, I think the fact that we have done this a second time now, this is very
volumes, Ambassador. Because it says that we're able to control what is within our own house, within our own space, and we still maintain our sovereignty while we have amicable dialogue. I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning. And again, I'll probably see you on Tuesday when we'll have more conversations on CARICOM. And I hope the best for those 3 months of work that the committees have to do so that this matter is resolved once and for all. Thank you once again for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Wendy, and wishing you all the best for the Christmas and holiday season.
Thank you so much, and same to you and your family.
Thanks.
Morning Barbados will be right back after the break, but first, some news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Kids Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV 8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Here with your morning news recap, I'm Wendy Burke. The Financial Literacy Bureau has big plans for 2024, among them stepped-up activities. David Simpson, consultant to the Ministry of Energy and Business's Financial Literacy Bureau, says they're making strides in helping people manage their money.
To ensure that we're consistent in our messaging and our activities. So during 2024, you will see us going with renewed vigor into the schools, into the community, and still continuing our online webinars, presentations to groups, organizations, businesses. You will see that renewed vigor. It will take time, Ryan, because it's a culture that we are changing. Barbadians are not necessarily accustomed to some entity or individual saying to them, budget, save, invest, don't do this, control your money. And I know it's a difficult time for many people, even as we came out of COVID, and there's still challenges for some. Earnings, some people have not had increases. The cost of living is going up, and as often moves at a faster rate, the cost of living in terms of increases compared to your salary. So we just want to sensitize Barbadians so they can make better financial decisions, better decisions in terms of their money and managing that aspect of their households. So we are in it for the long haul, but definitely during 2024, you will see some renewed vigor and intensity and consistency in terms of the activities and our messaging.
He added that the biggest financial literacy problem which he has observed is that of money management.
Is being able to manage their money in light of rising cost of living, and as we've been saying coming out of COVID, being able to prepare for the next shock. We know the next shock will come. We don't know when, we don't know what it will be, but we need to be prepared. And that's why we're also pushing the message of saving and investing. And saving and investing is not for those with extremely high means of income and so on. Any of us can save. I may be able to afford to save $10 a week. You may be able to afford to save $500 a week. It doesn't matter. It's the discipline and the habit that we're trying to ingrain in Barbadians. So we are making progress, but like I said, we'll continue to do this through 2024 and beyond.
Mr. Simpson says where investment is concerned, people are still lagging behind and are hesitant.
Honestly, we still have a lot of work to do, but we have several partners in the space. Central Bank of Barbados, for example, with their boss bonds. We have other investment entities, the Fortresses, the Sagicors, Royal Fidelities, several people in that space who are doing their own financial education as well and also promoting their products. And I think together the aim of the National Financial Literacy Program is to work with all of the partners, and that is part of my responsibility in helping them to coordinate the program with the other consultants. But we want to bring on those partners. It is difficult for one entity to reach 300,000 people. So we need to spread that work. We need to work with others who have programs in place who interact with the community and the population on a daily basis, like our insurance companies, the banks, and so on. And through that, I think we will make that progress. But again, it's a culture and a habit we're changing and trying to build. And that's a big part of why we want to ensure in 2024 we get into the schools, because at that young age we can start to mold them in terms of better money management and understanding financial transactions and everything to do with money and even the economy. Well, then as they grow older, we hopefully will be starting to see that level of understanding and knowledge more widespread than it currently is.
A video making rounds on social media allegedly of a 4-year-old working on a public service vehicle as a conductor has resulted in Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, who's also Minister of Transport Works and Water Resources, calling for a full investigation into the matter. It also prompted strong condemnation from the Alliance Owners of Public Transport Director of Public Communications and Public Affairs, Mark Haynes. He called it troubling and concerning.
The stress that such an act should be displayed aboard a PSV vehicle in which profane language was used by the driver and little child. This behavior is totally unacceptable, offensive, and highly reprehensible. It is an unlawful act for which the driver should be reprimanded and prosecuted. No child can be a conductor on a PSV vehicle.
Barbados Workers Union General Secretary Tony Moore has also spoken out about the issue. And while she's awaiting the official report, she's made it clear that child labor is a serious issue.
Our primary concern lies with the welfare and safety of the child involved. Child labor in any form is a serious issue that undermines the fundamental rights and development of children. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 32 states that a child should be protected from performing any work that is likely to be hazardous, interfere with the child's education, or be harmful to the child's health and physical, mental, spiritual, moral, or social development. The situation described involving a child working in a potentially hazardous environment contradicts this principle.
Barbados should find it easier to access some medications with the launch of a new vaccine lab in Africa. BioNTech, the German firm behind one of the first COVID vaccines, has unveiled the first mRNA vaccine manufacturing laboratory in Rwanda. The lab will be seeking to produce 50 million vaccine doses a year once completed for not only COVID-19 but potentially tuberculosis and malaria. Speaking during the inauguration of the new facility, Prime Minister Mia Motley hailed the initiative.
It marks a concrete step for the people of Africa and its children and its diaspora to be able to turn the corner, not just in the fight against pandemics, which we have all learned is absolutely critical, but equally, simply, in our desire to ensure that our people can have access to the best possible therapeutics and biologics that are available on this planet.
And that's our morning news recap. When we return with more Morning Barbados, we'll be talking to you about grief and loss and how you can cope with it this holiday season.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
As we said before, it is the Yuletide season. But during this season, there are also some people who don't have the merriest of times, and there's no jingle jangle for them. However, there can be. And to tell us exactly how we can get back to that place and space are the counselors Seasons for Growth and Grief Education. I want to welcome this morning Deborah Francis, who's the project coordinator of Seasons for Growth Grief Education, Dietary Belgrave, who is one of the program facilitators and a companion, and Shaquille Goring, a youngster here this morning with us. He's also a program facilitator and companion. Now, Deborah, and we were talking the last time about loss and that it doesn't always have to be an individual per se. It could be other things, jobs, etc., what have you. What is it like facing a season like this without employment and without being able to give your loved ones, whether they be children, a mother, a father, whoever, that special little token for Christmas?
Okay, first of all, season's greetings and good morning, everybody. I just want to make clear that we're not counsellors, it's not counselling sessions, it's grief and loss education.
Yes.
Yeah. And what it's like to not have the things that your family would be expecting, or even you as an individual are expecting, that can be really daunting when you're watching everybody carrying bags around and they're doing all of their shopping and things like that. You first of all have to be honest with yourself and don't try to be in a position that you're actually not in, because that's where you get into difficulties by taking out loans unnecessarily, by borrowing to try to emulate what everybody else is doing. So you must be honest with yourself and doing small things, trying to make things, trying to use other resources. It doesn't always have to be a financially bought gift, and sometimes just the gift of your presence. And if you say to somebody, well, I don't have anything to give, but look, here I am, that's far sweeter, far more memorable. But you have to get accustomed to actually doing that and saying to yourself, if no one had anything to give me, but I prefer their presence. Once you say that to yourself, then you're happy to give that, and that's a beautiful thing to give. It doesn't have to always be a monetary thing.
But okay, let's shift to Dietary. What if you are maybe perhaps an introvert generally? You know, the mingling isn't always the thing for you, but then you still aren't in a position to give where people are expecting. How do you reconcile that conflict within self?
Well, first off, I think the best thing to do is to be honest. Be honest to yourself, be honest with others. Have that conversation like, this is not a good time right now, and I hope that my time, or even me just saying Merry Christmas, or even me making a card or something for you with my creativity, that can be something more appreciative than just going by a postcard from in the
store or what.
Yes, like something that is made is much more appreciated. Well, for me, I value creativity and I value handmade stuff.
Okay.
So if somebody was to make me a card, my niece or my nephews make me a card, I would love that even more than just
that little thing we post
yes,
on the
I put it on the
refrigerator.
fridge.
Yes.
Yes, and that makes them feel good. And then when it comes to the people, so you might be an introvert, but you may know how to cook. So you could always go in the kitchen and help out. Can I help do this or can I help do that? You don't have to talk, but you can help, and that is something that you can do during Christmas time.
That's very interesting, because all communication is communication. I may not want to chat, but if you see me doing something, it's all about what we present to that individual. Now, Shaquille, it's often said that men don't like to express themselves generally, and even less when it comes to dealing with loss. How do you find interacting in some of your sessions and so on with males? Do you think that that's a true and accurate picture, or do you think it's just that nobody has ever shown them how to bring this information out?
Well, there's a social ideology attached to men. Yeah, obviously, there's a social expectation placed on us, so hence why expressing ourselves is quite daunting, right? Quite hard for us and so on. And I think that we need to create that culture, fostering or being there for one another, creating that psychosocial support for each other as men is not something feminine, because that's what usually comes over to us men, right? People think, well, it's something feminine and so on, or what in psychology we call the animal archetype, but that is very important in getting out feelings and so on.
Okay. Now, when we think of men gathering, especially around a time like this, it's to share a drink, you know, not necessarily to share emotions. So how does your group, Seasons, how do you help them to channel and know that there's nothing wrong with releasing what you're actually feeling to help you cope with this loss or grief?
Well, letting them know that psychosocial support is very pinnacle in dealing with grief and so on. Being able to empathize with people, that is very important. You don't feel isolated when you speak to someone, you can see, well, look, I can actually get this out. There's people out there that are actually experiencing what I experienced. I would also say to creating or maintaining a form of spirituality. That also helps as well. Doing things like exercise as well. What that does is that releases endorphins and lowers the cortisol level and so
So
on.
we're dealing with not only the physical but the mental conditioning,
Yes,
because keeping it pumping really keeps it on a level.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's get back to Deborah now. Babies. We always are so happy to welcome children on Christmas Day, and everybody wants to see this new baby. But there are times when that child will come to term, but then something goes wrong, either in delivery or a few days after. How do we help mothers who have lost children before they've actually been able to embrace the world, or those eyes actually get to meet the sunshine and come away from that hospital? How difficult is it dealing with something that impactful at a time like this?
The loss of a child is horrendous. But one of the things that I always say to people, avoid saying things like, I know how you feel. Unless you've been there, and even if you have been there, everybody's loss is different. Sometimes the best you can do is to actually embrace someone and give them the opportunity to cry it out, to talk it out. And at a time like this, when there's so much merriment around, your expectations of the delivery that you would have had, the child that would have come along, what would they be doing now? Because that's something that's oftentimes in parents' minds. My baby or my child would have been doing this at this point in time. You're hearing other children laughing, and it might sound like your child's laughter. You'll hear a child cry and you think, oh my goodness, that could have been my child. That is such a desperate place to be at. And we do ask people, don't be afraid to approach the person in the family, because all you get is, but everybody's hushed. Nobody wants to say anything. They're uncomfortable talking. And so you feel far more isolated because no one wants to address your emotions. And so therefore they leave you alone to grieve privately. All you really want is people surrounding you. Oftentimes you want people surrounding you so that you can talk to them. And if they've left you alone long enough, you no longer want to speak to them because you feel as if you've been shunned.
Or not just shunned, but totally abandoned. Because postpartum depression is real, with just the actual birth and the coping every day with the pampers, the night feeds, etc. To say now in terms of actually not even being able to get to that particular process, it is difficult. And I'm not sure if it's about the shunning or if the individual themselves also don't believe that they may not possess the capacity to help you through it.
How can you, unless, it's something so totally new and so very raw, and it'll be raw for many years to come, probably forever. It's not going to go away. It can't go away. And at a time like that, when people say, how are you? And they say, oh, I'm fine. That's an instinctive response. And oftentimes I say to them, but no, how are you? Really tell me how you are. And that's when you get the breakdown. That's when they cry. Then they start to talk it out. And you give them the space for that. Make sure that you've got at least 2 hours spare, because it could take that long for them to then start talking about it, and give them the opportunity to talk. Don't necessarily try answering some of the things that they've said or making a correlation to what they're saying and how you may feel. They could be poles apart. So you make sure that you've got plenty of time, rather than say, oh, I've got to go now. I've got something to do, which makes what they're saying irrelevant to where it is you have to go. So make sure you've got plenty of time for them.
So Dietary, what about if we really don't have the time, because we ourselves might be going through a particular trial? It may not be a loss per se or grief we're dealing with, but it might be, say, illness of a child or a parent, and we have to be attendant, but there's somebody there who needs us just as much. Is it okay to say, can we schedule a meetup? Can we go for your favorite dessert? Can we do the things we used to like to do together? Is that okay to just pause it and say to the person what your problem is? Or do you not tell them your problem, but try to set that time for them and let them know you're still front of mind, even though I have to go take this child to the hospital, what have you? Because things happen at peculiar times, you know, peculiar times.
I think communication is key in all ages, from the time that we're little to the time that we're adults. When we get old, we need to communicate with each other. So if you learn to build that communication within that relationship, then and explain to them, yes, I cannot today, but we're going to make time, and that person has something to look forward to, which is something good. So I think that everybody should learn to communicate and make people feel seen and heard. And although I can't deal with you today, we're going to go do something tomorrow, but keep that promise. Because if you don't keep that promise, then they don't have that security or that trust with you, so they won't be able to express themselves as freely. So you need, especially for young children, they need a safe space. So you have to create that safe space. Yes, you're a busy mommy, yes, but you still have to make the time. No matter what, you have to make the time, because we all want to feel seen and want to feel heard.
Shaquille, I encountered something recently, and it was a situation where the person shut themselves away because like every 2 days somebody else was just sharing the grief and loss that they were going through, or how they themselves were depressed and hurting, and taking on those constant calls and messages and so on put this person in a really anxious place and space. Is it okay to retreat in those moments, or do you just say, can I have a little breather and then we'll get back to it?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Retreating and having a breather as well. That's very important as well. And I think when a family member person or whoever it may be, they come with an altruistic mindset. They say, well, this probably worked for me and this should probably work for you, or probably give you those silver lining statements. Well, like in due time this would happen, or eventually at least this person didn't die this way, or that they lived a long life. So then you have to remove that silver lining statements, and people need to come to the realization themselves as to, well, this is when I'm going to heal, right?
It's true, because sometimes it takes time, and I'm like, can we really put a timestamp on those things, Deborah? Can we, you know? Because I have a mantra that I use, and when I'm unsure as to how to help somebody deal with loss or grief, I simply say, there's nothing wrong with you grieving in the way you want.
Absolutely.
I am not a doctor. I cannot prescribe for you what your grief treatment should be. If you need me to come and you want to cry till there's boogers coming out, you can do that. If you just need me to make your favorite meal, say that. But yes, I know you're calling to tell me, but it is not my place to tell you how you should grieve. Am I being heartless for saying that?
No, you're being very real. And not only is it not your place to tell them how to grieve, but how long the grieving process takes, because there is no end to it. In as much as that you might be grieving for someone, let's say, for example, it could even be your job. You've had a job for 25, 30 years and beyond, and now you've reached retirement. You will continually talk about where you used to work and how things used to be, and every Christmas you remember the fun that you had, and that goes on for all time. The loss of someone, whether it's a broken down relationship, once you have a memory, you will still keep remembering, and you will go back to dark places sometimes as you struggle to cope with moving further forward. this could go on for some people, it never ends. And in reality, it actually doesn't end. It's how you deal with it and how you cope with it. That's the sticking point sometimes. But it's not in anybody's place to tell you how they felt and how it's going to work out for them. The same way you wear your beautiful shoes, and I love them.
Thank you.
But, they may not fit me. True. And how you're walking them is how you're walking them. I might put them on and walk with a limp, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because it looks nice on you, it's going to look nice on me. No one has the right to go through and tell you what to expect. Everybody does things differently. You could come from the same household, and people react differently to the loss of somebody from the same household. They had a different relationship.
That is so true. You just hit it bang on. That's true. It's different for all of us, and there's never a one size fit to grief and loss. Well, Deborah, Dietary, and Shaquille, I want to thank you all so much for coming and help us unpack that very difficult conversation at this period of time. And give us quickly your call numbers.
I was going to say, we've got some call numbers which I believe that they should be putting up on the
screen.
screen.
Okay.
So they're helpline numbers that people could contact, and also our email address for Seasons for Growth, and telephone numbers if people need
So I can reach you over the holidays.
So they can be reached over the holiday, particularly over the holiday now, and the helpline numbers are vitally important for parents as well as for children, for anyone that's going through grief and loss and they're stuck and they really need to have some help. And we want them to talk it out before they act it out. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
for
we are
having us.
happy to know that you all are on board. Season's greetings to you all. And a prosperous 2024 and more seasons of growth to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you also. Thank you.
Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Pediatrician Dr. Gillian Birchwood. She's the consultant pediatrician and neonatologist at the QEH. The conversation was on how we can manage the flu. Yep, it's flu season in Barbados right now, and there's some Christmas do's and don'ts for your little ones, because we want to make sure that when they're back into school after these holidays, everything's okie dokie.
All right, this morning our doctor on the line is Dr. Gillian Birchwood, consultant pediatrician and neonatologist at the QE8. Always wonderful to have Dr. Birchwood in with us as we look at the health of the younger ones amongst us. Today we want to look at how to manage the flu, big epidemic in Barbados right now. And of course we want to look at some Christmas do's and don'ts with children. So good morning to Dr. Birchwood. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Tisha. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. What about you?
I am great, and I'm glad I haven't picked up this flu because I had my flu vaccine. And right now it's really a problem for the children in Barbados.
All right, so talk to us about the flu. What is it? And, usually we know how it spread because we know, but what are some of the symptoms that we can look out for?
Yes, so the flu is caused by a number of influenza viruses. It's different from a regular cold because, sometimes people use the terms interchangeably, but it is different from a regular cold. So the influenza virus is spread very similarly to how the cold virus is spread. People cough, their hands become contaminated, they touch objects, other people will touch those same objects and then get themselves infected. But the symptoms are different from a regular cold in many cases. So there may be quite a high fever, which is what we've been seeing in children, quite a high fever that goes on for a significant period of time. And of course, you can get your runny nose and coughing, but you can also have vomiting and diarrhea and aches and pains about the body that you see with influenza virus. And you don't tend to see that as much with the cold. In addition to that, it can affect children at high risk much more, which would be children who have asthma, for example, chronic illnesses like asthma, diabetes, children whose immune system is suppressed, like children who have cancer, and children with sickle cell disease. So it's really important to pay attention to influenza.
All right, that definitely is a lot happening, and we don't expect to see all of those symptoms with what would be deemed a flu. So for the little ones who are watching, let's remind them how they can get this flu.
Yes, so definitely hand hygiene is so important. So, children are not always the greatest with the hand hygiene, but I think that has improved a lot since COVID and the reinforcement of all those guidelines. But you need to make sure that your hands are clean. If you are around someone who has, flu-like symptoms, you can wear a mask. They should wear a mask, and we're all familiar with mask wearing. So coughing into your hands, touching surfaces that are frequently touched by others, like the light switch, the faucet when we're going to wash our hands, or the fridge handle, door handles, and then someone else comes along, touches that surface, and then rubs their nose or puts their fingers in their mouth or their eyes, and that virus gets directly transmitted. Also, if you're in the supermarket, you're touching things, you're in areas where there are lots of people touching things, don't touch your eyes, nose, and mouth without cleaning your hands, because you can definitely contaminate yourself with the flu virus and then pick up the flu. So it's very important. And those tissues that people use, they have to be disposed of very carefully. Don't use a wash rag that you're going to sneeze in and reuse, because that's really going to become contaminated and spread it to other members of your household or the classroom or whatever environment you happen to be in.
But would you advise parents to send little ones or young people to school if they have a flu? At what stage should we say, okay, you definitely should be at home?
Yes, I think that's such an important point to bring out. If your child is sick, please don't send them to school. And if they've had the influenza or been diagnosed with the flu, they should not go back to school until they are fever-free for at least 24 hours and are no longer having active runny nose and an active cough. Otherwise, it's going to spread rapidly. And I think this is what has been happening in our community. And the kids have really been coming down with flu and other viruses like wildfire in the community right now.
That's definitely a lot to kind of get through, and a lot for us to think about. Let's talk about treatment. Now, I grew up in a household, and my mother probably is going to be upset with me for this, but I grew up in a household with my mother with a medicine cabinet. That's what she called it. So we would do a lot of self-diagnosis, and then he was like, oh, you have a runny nose, so I'm going to go to this or that. And, in the Caribbean, we have our own little remedies and so on. But with this particular flu, what's your advice to parents in terms of treatment?
Yes. So the first thing to do is to know that and remember that influenza and the flu is caused by a virus. It is not caused by a bacteria. So antibiotics are not going to be helpful. Basically, you have to write it out, and your body is going to get rid of the virus, easily in most cases. So you don't want your children to become dehydrated. They refuse to drink fluids. You want them to drink lots of fluids. And with the little ones, especially those under age 5 years, they may refuse to drink, and then they have to end up being admitted to hospital just to get IV fluids so they don't become dehydrated. So they should drink lots of fluids. Next is they should get lots of sleep. Make sure they get their rest to help them fight the illness. And yes, you can take medications to help with the symptoms. The medications are not going to make the flu go away any faster. So medications that contain paracetamol, which is very commonly used, you should use those to help with the fever. Aspirin should not be used, and some children are on aspirin for chronic conditions. No aspirin if you have the influenza. It can cause a severe illness called Rye syndrome. As we said, no antibiotics. We talked about staying at home. Don't go spreading it to everyone. And make sure that you keep a close eye on children who are high risk, and get the flu vaccine as close to the end of October as you can. It takes about 2 weeks or so to work, and it's really important, especially for children with high risk conditions.
All right, in terms of getting the vaccine, must we get it privately, or can you go into the polyclinic or go to the QEH and say, we need to have the flu vaccine?
It is very much available in the polyclinics every year, and we encourage people to go and get the flu vaccine. I made sure to have mine, and everyone in my family gets it. It's not a pleasant illness, and it is also available at many private facilities as well. So there are a lot of options for parents to choose from. There's no need to wonder where to get it, and you don't have to pay to get it. You can get it right there at the polyclinic. So I would definitely encourage that.
All right. I think what's most important is for parents to remember, as long as your little ones are sick, I know sometimes it presents a problem, particularly if you're a single parent, to be able to figure out arrangements for the children if they're not well, but definitely not a good idea to send your children to school if they are not well. All right. With that said, let's move on now to the do's and don'ts for Christmas, because around this time of year, a lot of the times we see little ones getting hurt from time to time. So let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts.
Yes. So Christmas is the time of year we all look forward to. We wind down a little bit and we enjoy ourselves a lot. So some of the things to make sure that we do is to make sure that we have a safe home for our children. We all love putting up the Christmas tree. As you can see, I haven't gotten around to mine as yet. I need some help. But we want to make sure that the Christmas tree is safe. So all those small decorations that you have on tree, if you have young children and toddlers, you want to make sure that you avoid those small decorations. The snow spray that some people like to use, if children eat that, it's actually poisonous. So you want to make sure that if you have young children, you avoid it. At Christmas time, we all love those pretty plants around the house. We like our poinsettia and all the rest of those other plants. Poinsettia is poisonous, and other plants are poisonous. If you have young children who are likely to sample the plants, you need to make sure that you have safe plants. The other thing we do lots of at Christmas time, and we all enjoy it, is cooking. And with all the cooking that's going on in the kitchen, you want to keep the young children away from the kitchen, away from the oven and the stove. When you're cooking, if you can, cook on the back burner that's far away from little hands reaching up. And you want to turn those pot handles in. I can't tell you how many times children have pulled on pot handles on the stove and hot liquid splashes all over their face and chest and the front of their body. It's devastating. You want to make sure that when you're having people over, you don't leave little cups of alcohol lying around. Children have been known to come and drink some of that which is left around. And so you want to be very careful. You do not want any drunk children in your house at any point in time. When you're cooking that turkey and the other foods, put them up and store them safely. You don't want the side effects of not storing that turkey safely, very unpleasant, the next day. So those are some of the do's to make sure you do at Christmas.
All right. And of course, you win that round, Dr. Birchwood. You just said if you have any plants that the children might want to sample.
And they do.
That is too funny. All right, let's talk now a little bit about foods that you should avoid for the little ones, because in our culture, we most certainly feel like even for the babies, put a little taste in their mouth, let them have a little sip. So what are some of the things that maybe we should avoid for the little ones?
Yes. So you want to avoid foods that can be a choking hazard. At Christmas time, we may bring out the nuts, for example. That's definitely a choking hazard and can stick in the airways and get down into the small airways. And if the food gets down into the airways, if it doesn't choke, which we definitely don't want, and it gets into the airways, it has to be surgically removed. So you do not want that to happen to your children. Other things like raisins and cherries, you have to be careful with because, again, those can be a choking hazard and get down into the airways. Candies and chocolates that are circular and can block the airways, definitely dangerous. And we don't want the children eating lots of junk food. It's a time where we all love to eat junk food, I know, but keep that to a minimum. Let them have a little something. After all, it's Christmas time, but we don't want to overdo that for sure.
What about activities? I know usually around this time of year, parents want to buy some of the most popular games and so on. And many of us tend to not listen, not read those warning labels. So there are many toys that say for children, safe for children, X age to Y age. So we definitely need to reinforce that. Maybe because you want to play or you think that your child is a little more mature than that average age, you have to be mindful of that as well, because we know children love to put things in addition to the sampling, Dr. Birchwood. They like to place things in places that we can't always discuss.
You're absolutely right. I remember once looking at a little boy, I looked up his nose and I saw a bright blue object. This was just on routine examination. And, children will poke things in areas that they really shouldn't. So things like Lego, toys with small parts. And even if you have Lego that's fine for a 10-year-old, you might have a 1-year-old in the house. You don't want the Lego available because the 10-year-old will not stick it in the wrong place, but the 1-year-old certainly would try. You don't want children to have toys with those button batteries that can dislodge easily. The button batteries are the flat, shiny, coin-like batteries. If children ingest those, in addition to being a choking hazard, when they dissolve, they contain a corrosive material that can damage the internal surfaces and cause burns. You don't want to have them spending all their time watching the TV and sitting and vegging in front of their screen time. Really very, very important to get them up and outside. That's where children belong, up and outside whenever it is safe to do so.
And usually around this time of year, we tend to be plugging things in a lot more around the house. So we really have to be mindful of that as well, because you might have a few plugs that, you have the caps that you put into them. But around Christmas time, we tend to be a little more laxed in terms of what we're plugging and where.
Yes. And you're so right. We often have overloaded outlets. When you plug in the lights on the Christmas tree and you have 3 or 4 things stacked. And as you rightly said, the socket outlets might not be covered. When we have young children, we'll place the socket outlet covers on them to prevent the children from sticking metal objects in, which can then cause an electric shock. So you have to be extra vigilant, because we do tend to relax and let our guard down around Christmas, but we want to be vigilant about these things. Get down on the floor, look around your house if you have young children, see things from their eye level, because then you're going to know what they're looking at and what they might be interested in. And be very careful about, again, those small bulbs and fragile ornaments on the tree. They're likely to pull them off. They can pull the Christmas tree down as they're interested in the shiny lights. So you have to be really careful when you have small children, and beware of the fire hazard of overloading sockets next to real Christmas trees or even artificial ones, which can catch a fire and be a fire hazard. Be very careful, parents, this Christmas, but still enjoy it.
Around this time of year, we often hear about a lot of children who go temporarily missing in the busy shopping areas, or if they're, or if there might be activities or events, and they're very, very hectic, very busy. So we want parents to be mindful about that as well.
Yes, that's such an excellent point. So when you're going to these events, find a place and tell your child, if we get separated, we're going to meet here. You don't want your child wandering around looking for you. They should go to a pre-designated spot, and they should be told, stand here, mommy and daddy are going to come and find you. Don't move from here. If they are in a position to see a policeman, teach them, what people in positions of authority look like so that they can make themselves known to the policeman. Make sure they know their name and their parents' names and their address or their parents' phone numbers. Children really learn things very well. So teach them a pre-designated place to meet. Make sure they know their name and their parents' names and their address or phone numbers if possible, so they can share that information and make sure that they are safely reunited with their family. That happened to me as a child, and because my parents had told me what to do, I was able to not panic and stand in the place that they told me to, and they reunited with me. So that's definitely an excellent point as we go about all those fun activities we like to do as a family.
Yeah, we had a scare like that one year at Kadooment with one of my nephews. He was 3 at that time. Can't talk about it. It was crazy. It can definitely be a difficult time. It might seem like a very short space of time, but when you think of that little person by themselves and you don't know where they are, it can be very, very nerve-wracking. All right, is there any additional advice or any safety tips that you'd like to leave with us that we might have left out so far?
I think that the last thing that I would say is, yes, you can, maybe allow the children to eat things that they would not normally eat on a day-to-day basis and drink things they wouldn't normally drink on a day-to-day basis, but make it clear it is for a short period of time. Don't allow them to overdo it. Christmas weight gain is a real thing, not just for adults, but for children as well. And unfortunately, we've had a major problem with childhood obesity in Barbados. We want to make sure that we balance all those goodies and treats with physical exercise and get them off the screen time. They can play all those board games and have family time in such a fun way. So don't forget to bond as a family, and don't overeat and don't spend excessive amounts of time on the screen so we can avoid the Christmas weight gain that we see every year over the holidays in children. Have a great Christmas, Barbados. Enjoy it so much.
And of course, the entire family here at Mornin Barbados and by extension, the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation would love to thank you for being with us for this entire year and sharing with us over the entire series. We want to wish you and yours all the very best for the Christmas season and for the coming year.
Thank you, and love to the CBC family.
All right, Dr. Gillian Birchwood, neonatologist and pediatrician at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Always wonderful insight for us. Remember, keep the liquor away from the little ones at this Christmas time, because we know there's usually a lot more going on, so you want to be mindful about that.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, general practitioner and healthy lifestyle advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that you both know they will enjoy.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit
get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why? My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we need, now that we've heard all the warnings for our little ones to keep them safe during this season, there's also something that brings us a lot of joy. It's a lot of hard work, but there's some people who really do enjoy it. And one of those people is an avid viewer of ours, and she decorated her home for Christmas and sent us a video showing us both the interior and the exterior. She really does love Christmas. Let's have a look. I am not sure where she gets the energy, but let me tell you, job well done. It's beautiful on the inside and the out. I love the poinsettias, and let me just say to you, your home is almost as beautiful as you are. I want to thank you for sending us that video to bring us some Christmas cheer. And you too out there can send us videos to bring cheer. You don't just have to be here in Barbados. Remember, we have lots and lots of Bajans afar, and we also have others who love Morning Barbados. So if you have decorated and want us to see what it looks like, send us those videos to our email here in the Pine, and we will be sure to play them. Yes, send and let us know how you have decorated for Christmas. Yes, and we'll be sure to show them. But before we go, let's preview tomorrow. We will be talking HR. Yes, it might be the holiday season, but everybody's not on vacation. So we will be discussing some work-related issues with her map tomorrow. So we'll be talking to them along with a number of other people as we try to remind you that in the mix of Christmas, there's still some work to be done, not just work on the house to get it ready. But if you're getting ready, I wish you all the best, the most energy to get that job completed so that we can all have a bright and happy Merry Christmas. So from my crew here this morning in the Pine, we want to wish all of you season's greetings. I'm Wendy Burke.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.